Hello, can you please state your name and your occupation?
I'm Wes Blakeslee. I'm the Executive Director of Johns Hopkins Technology Transfer.
Thank you. As I mentioned, we are doing a project on the value of biotech. Can you talk a little bit about how biotech is improving lives?
Well, especially with the kind of technologies that we have at Johns Hopkins, we are focused on the life sciences primarily, although we have a number of things that come from our engineering school and our biomedical engineering departments. And the technologies that we develop are directed toward medical care primarily. Many of our inventors are clinicians that treat patients, and so an overriding interest that they have is to try to get the technologies that we invent and the discoveries that we make out into the marketplace so they can actually help patients. And we've developed over the years a number of diagnostics that are used today to help diagnose diseases at an earlier stage. And we have a number of technologies that help researchers do a better job of making new discoveries. And in all those ways, we help to enrich people's lives who benefit from those technologies.
What kinds of challenges is biotech facing today?
Well, the biggest challenge, of course, is financial in these particular times as money becomes harder and harder to come by. Most people forget that to develop a technology from the early stage invention made at the university into a product that ultimately gets in the marketplace can take some 10 to 14 years and some $100 million to $1 billion in expense. And you need money in order to move those things forward. So when we license, whether it be to large companies or small companies, those companies have to have the financial ability to be able to make the investment and move those products forward. And from our standpoint in the university space, where our goal is to get as many technologies out and licensed so we can move as many products to the market as possible, we have to do a much better job of marketing and selling our technologies. So for example, at Johns Hopkins Technology Transfer, we are taking advantage of the new methods of social networking to market our technologies. And this week at the Bio Convention, we are introducing the new application for Johns Hopkins Tech Transfer for the iPod and the iPad. So now for Johns Hopkins Technology Transfer, there's an app for that. And you can put that app on your iPad or your iPhone and not only have direct connection with our website and the latest technologies that we have available, but also subscribe to feeds in which we can send you information as soon as we get a new technology that you might be interested in. And so in all those ways, we have to work a lot harder and do a lot better at marketing our technologies to find those companies that have the capability to take them and make them into a product that will ultimately help someone.
Thank you. And to switch topics completely, gene patenting, which is somewhat of a misnomer, is a big issue facing the government today. Can you talk a little bit about why gene patenting actually is a misnomer, and talk a little bit about what gene patenting is?
Yes, it's an unfortunate phrase that's used because we don't actually patent a human gene. But when you use the phrase gene patenting, those that aren't familiar with the field think of it as patenting human genes. And you've had writers that have written as if there are patents on your genes, and therefore when you have children you have to pay a license to a patent holder. And nothing could be further from the truth. What a patent that are commonly referred to as gene patents are simply isolated chemical sequences that contain information about the human genome, but they are not the gene. And those isolated chemical sequences, which have traditionally been patentable in all fields for 100 years or more, are what is patented when you use the phrase gene patenting. And it's important to have a balance, between the desire to move science ahead on the one hand and the need to protect inventions on the other, because we want to be able to move the science ahead, but as I discussed previously, if a person who takes the kinds of technologies that are developed by people that would otherwise qualify for a gene patent, to move that from something that's a discovery and that's initially patentable into a product that's actually going to help someone, takes a tremendous investment. And if you cannot protect that investment, that is, if you don't have a patent that gives you some exclusive right to benefit from the investment that you made, then people aren't going to make the investment, pure and simple. And so we have to be very, very careful in this current gene patenting debate that we balance between making discoveries freely available on the one hand and being able to get the kind of investment and the kind of effort into those discoveries to actually make them into products.